James Darrell Hickox, he pleaded guilty to charges of conspiring to distribute narcotics, conspiring to defraud the United States, and tax evasion. News4JAX I-team reporter Tiffany Salome was inside the courtroom for today's sentencing. She spoke with his family and shares the strong words the judge had for Hickox.
Stealing money and illegal drugs from evidence rooms are just a few things this former Nassau County sergeant is heading to federal prison for. James Darrell Hickox was sentenced to 17.5 years for his actions dating back to 2017. Prosecutors say he abused his role as a task force officer with the Drug Enforcement Administration. During his sentencing, a judge told Hickox, "You pose a danger to the public."
Because I know my son. He don't belong there. Just got caught up in something he shouldn't have done.
The courtroom was packed with supporters of Hickox as the judge handed down his sentence, including his mom and dad, who shared concerns about his mental health as a DEA agent.
They have to live two lives. You're out slinging dope for the DEA, and then you go home and be a family man.
So why do you think your son committed these crimes?
Darn, he couldn't even answer that. I think because he was around it for 10 years. He was a drug dealer for 10 years. If he hadn't had a badge, he was a drug dealer. That's the job DEA has him doing.
Prosecutors said Hickox stole more than 1,000 pounds of marijuana, confiscated as evidence during criminal investigations, with the intent to sell it. Hickox was also dealing MDMA, fentanyl, and cocaine, and hid over $420,000 from the IRS. Prosecutors called Hickox a thief, a crooked cop, and a drug dealer with a badge.
He was a drug dealer. So he becomes a drug dealer, and everybody's acting surprised. I'm like, why are you so surprised? That's what y'all had him doing for 10 years.
Hickox called himself a guilty man in court Monday, apologizing to his family, the U.S. government, and his co-workers. When asked by the judge why he did what he did, Hickox blamed his actions on the fear of dying and not being able to provide for his family after a cancer diagnosis. In turn, the judge responded, quote, "I don't see how that causes an individual to engage in what you did. I'm having a hard time with that. As a sworn law enforcement officer, you disgraced law enforcement and engaged in conduct that broke the public's trust." Reporting in Jacksonville, Tiffany Salem.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the exact same thing, actually. Because how does a cancer diagnosis make you want to steal drug evidence at your job and resell it to your community? But there is more to the story. Found this on the IRS website. A former deputy sheriff and DEA task force officer sentenced to more than 17 years in federal prison for conspiring to distribute narcotics, defrauding the U.S. government, defrauding the United States, and tax evasion. Jacksonville, Florida. U.S. District Judge Wendy W. Berger today sentenced James Darrell Hickox to 17 years and 6 months in federal prison for multiple federal offenses, including conspiring to distribute narcotics, conspiring to defraud the United States, and tax evasion. The court has also ordered Hickox to forfeit or abandon the money, firearms, and ammunition involved in these offenses. So this guy was a straight-up drug dealer, like he was playing a part in Power from 50 Cent. You guys know what show I'm talking about. Hickox pleaded guilty on May 15, 2024. According to court documents, while employed as a deputy with the Nassau County Sheriff's and designated task force officer with the DEA, Hickox and a co-conspirator engaged in extensive corrupt activity from 2017 through 2023. These acts included theft of money and illegal drugs that were seized as evidence during criminal investigations, providing illegal drugs, including fentanyl and cocaine, the hard stuff, the deadly stuff, to others to distribute on his behalf, and hiding from the IRS more than $420,000 in cash he had received because of his criminal activities. Well, there you go. It wasn't the cancer, it was the amount of money he was making from this. $420,000 from selling drugs, thinking he wouldn't get caught since he worked with the DEA. Yeah, that sounds about right. Hickox and his co-conspirator stole more than 1,000 pounds of marijuana from evidence and provided the drugs to others to sell on their behalf. They had covered up the theft by submitting falsified paperwork showing that the marijuana had been destroyed. Similarly, they stole a kilogram of cocaine from evidence and then gave it to a drug dealer to sell for him. When Hickox's residence was searched, pursuant to a federal search warrant on March 10th, 2023, agents found approximately 263 grams of powder containing fentanyl as well as cocaine. So this man was out here selling drugs, trying to kill somebody, apparently. You know, because that's the stuff that killed, what's his name? George Floyd, fentanyl. Hickox intended to distribute these substances. Agents also found a rifle that Hickox had illegally modified to function as a machine gun, as well as 4 additional firearms that had been seized during the law enforcement investigation and should have been in evidence or lawfully destroyed. Hickox had drilled out and obliterated the serial number of one of these firearms. The agents also located more than $195,000 in cash proceeds from Hickox's illicit activities. A search of Hickox's workplace at a Nassau County Sheriff's Office revealed another 260 pills containing methamphetamine. Law enforcement officers who operate as though they are above the law betray the badge and the citizens they swore to protect, says FBI Jacksonville Search Special Agent in charge, Kristen Reller. This case exemplifies the FBI's commitment to holding public servants accountable if they violate the very laws they promised to uphold. He betrayed the oath he took to become a police officer and lost his career. He also let down his co-workers and our community, says Nassau County Sheriff Bill Leeper. It's law enforcement officers who do stupid things like this that erode the confidence and trust in our profession by our citizens. His poor judgment and criminal behavior should not reflect negativity on all the good men and women at the NCSO who got out every day and do it the right way to keep our citizens safe. As a sworn law enforcement officer, Hickox took an oath to uphold the law, says Ronnie Loker, Special Agent in charge of IRS Criminal Investigation, Tampa Field Office. Instead, he turned his back on that oath and profited from the very crimes he was tasked with investigating. That's crazy. We commend our fellow law enforcement partners for their great work coming together to put a stop to this illegal betrayal of public trust. We will continue to investigate allegations of public corruption and follow the money to prosecute any individuals that abuse their position of trust for personal gain. And that is exactly what he did. This man had drugs, guns, taking stuff out of evidence room and distributing it to drug dealers so they can deal it on his behalf. This man was a straight up drug dealer. No question about it. And I'm glad he got this dude off the streets. 17 and a half years. Yeah, I think that is needed. That is definitely needed because no one knows the amount of people he could have already killed, the amount of more people that could have been killed from his narcotics. It's a crazy story. And pretty much the rest of it is not important, but this was a crazy story. You really don't know who you're hiring anymore. Straight up drug dealer. But, let me know what you guys think about the story. Make sure to like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.